Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're finally on the cusp of the EB01 release. It's going to be this Friday, May 3rd, which I'm really excited for. There's just a lot of new cards for older archetypes, and Bandai does this pretty often where they release these sets that just kind of support a lot of older decks, which is really fun. So that's what I'm really looking forward to in one piece for our first one here for EB01. And additionally, I think OP06 has been a little bit stale for the last couple weeks. We know what decks are topping, and we pretty much know what they look like as well. There's not a lot of diversity when it comes to deck building or even just choices, because sometimes we know that a deck is really good and there's just room for a couple tech choices, but Moria and Sakazuki and Katakuri, I think all three of them, they pretty much have been looking the same for the last couple weeks. So we'll see if there's any changes that are down the line with those, and also just if any of the new decks or any of the older decks with new support get anything as well. But this is going to be based off of what I've seen from the Japanese meta and a couple of my personal insights as well. But yeah, we're going to do a tier list real quick going over these guys. Lastly, we are going to go live on Twitch and YouTube a couple hours after this video goes live. We're going to be doing a bunch of testing with a couple of these leaders too, so it should be a really good time, and I hope you guys enjoy as well. So anyways, we're going to get started. We're just going to go through a couple of the new leaders, and then we're just kind of go from there. So for our new leaders, we have the Odin, the Hannibal, and the Kyros. And if to be honest, I think we're just going to go real quick. They're really neat leaders. I think they're very, very neat leaders. I don't think anything's really going to happen with them, unfortunately. If anything was going to happen with any of them, it's probably going to be Odin specifically. That deck on curve does feel pretty good. Being able a 6k leader with the effect is really nice with it, and I think that's strong in general if you against your curve, but it doesn't happen all the time. You are susceptible to removal a lot of the time, and you don't really have a lot of interaction outright. You're more of a proactive deck. If you're already set up, you have ways to interact with your opponent's board. Otherwise, you're kind of just hit by it too, and it's just not the best in those scenarios. There are some matchups that are good with it, but overall, it's just, I don't know. It's really neat. It's really cool to see how the deck works, and the fact that you always have counter is really cool, but other than that, it kind of falls off. So there it is. Kyros as well. I do think that it's good. There are some really good ways to play it, but most of the builds that I've been playing with it, it just feels like I could be playing Sakazuki right now and have the same kind of removal, but better. And there hasn't really, I don't know, they didn't really make him any cards, right? They made him one Viola as a blocker, but that is it, right? If they had more support for this leader in the actual EB01, there could be some potential for it. I don't know if they're afraid of making a yellow-black leader with giving it support that would recommend or would help yellow or black generically or something like that. They're afraid to give it better tools, but it's just not as good, right? I'd rather play either Sakazuki or I guess even Katakuri on the black or yellow side. And there are some good games with it. You get some good removal and good tempo, but again, the consistency isn't there for it to be better than the other two decks that exist. So we're going to leave it there. Hannibal, maybe I'm being a little bit too mean for it, but it just feels a lot like the other blue-purple leaders, like blue-purple Croc or blue-purple Kaido, outside of Reiju, which has its own archetype built in with it. But you have so many good options for removal and value and everything else, and you're just so hindered by being a 4-life leader because you want to be more control-y, and because of that, you just don't have the tools generically for it. So it is really cool to get that ramp every turn. I think that's strong for the deck and helps it out. But I just don't think there's pieces for it necessarily. This is probably my favorite of the three to play right now. So I hope I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong with this. It gets a little bit better, and there's some builds that I just didn't, recognize from there, but that's kind of where that is. So those are those three, and then also I'm going to go through the three brothers real quick as well. I kind of talked about these before as in previous videos, but I think it's pretty clear that black and yellow Luffy is the most viable of the three. It's the one that can take advantage of the actual starter deck the most, at least with current card pool. The black Sabo is probably one of the best cards you can play off of it, and he can be the only one who can off the three of them. So I think that's honestly very strong for the deck. Pretty much it's tier 1.5 because if you're playing against a deck that can remove the Sabo, then you lose, right? Because that Sabo pretty much wins you the game. And if you can't keep it consistently, then you just lose for it. So which there are a couple decks that will be maybe placed a little bit higher than it can do that. We also have the Sabo. It might be up to tier 1.5 to be honest. I'm going to leave it viable potential for right now because I don't want to get my hopes too up. But being able to use this card to just get a lot of value, good like Kid Killer you get from this set, I think is the best card you get from it because it's immediately a 7K as long as your opponent's at 2 or less life, which isn't too terribly hard to do unless they're Gecko Mori. I think Gecko's like the premier 5 life leader right now that stays at 5 life as long as possible. So, but being able to, again, like Kid Killer, it's a 4 cost that immediately gets value to be put back into your life, which is very strong. And I think that's going to help out Sabo a lot. Outside of that, though, you're kind of just in a rough spot. So I don't know. It's very fun. It's one of my favorite to play of the 3 brothers right now. But I don't know if it's quite there quite yet. But we're going to put him there. And then Ace. Ace has a lot of potential to be like an actual control deck just because it can gain life, and we have more and more ways that you are able to keep that life there. So for example, we have the 2-drop Viola that we have in Kyros as well. We can play that, we can flip the card face down, and now we've healed for the turn, right? Our Hiyori, being able to take the card, put a card with a good trigger on the top of our life, right? That's kind of like the idea of what we can do with this deck, and I just don't know if I don't know if he's worth it right now. The biggest thing that for Ace is that he has like the worst card pool for 5-drops for the brothers at this current moment. We know that in the future we're going to get some more blue 5-cost Ace, which might be worth it in the future as well. But currently, I just don't see the deck being super duper good. So, which is a shame because again, it's my favorite one to do. Like Sabo's my favorite one to play right now. But I think that Ace has potential to do well if we have more tools and to really take advantage of the heal every turn are doing those kinds of effects. So we're going to leave it there. So after that, we're just going to go. I just have them lined up based on release. So we're going to go through those real quick. I do want to just like not mess around though. I do want to say like I think if we want to just go through tier 1 real quick, I don't think anyone's going to be too surprised about this. It's still Sakazuki, Gecko, Katakuri, and I think the only new deck to be added to the tier 1 at this point is probably Red Purple Law, and I'm probably going to put it as the 3rd best deck. We'll see if it's consistently better than Katakuri, but it's very good. Being able to bottom deck and get that removal is great. It's really good against Black Yellow Luffy because of that too. That matchup's pretty free based on my own experience. Sakazuki is also manageable, especially because I don't know, we can take advantage of Kid Killer very easily. Being able to be a 7K rush pretty quickly helps the deck a lot. And again, any of our 4 life leaders we can really take advantage of. Only matchup that I've found is really hard for the deck is Gecko Moria because it's a 5 cost and kind of does what we want to do better of being able to establish bodies and get removal at the same time. So that's the only build I think that's rough for the deck. Everything else, being able to bottom deck and it's just very strong. So I don't think anything else approaches that right now, but we're going to just leave it there and just kind of go for it. So, all right. These are pretty much decks that have either topped in the last OP06 consistently or have gotten a good amount of new cards, our new techniques for OP or EB01 as well. So going through it just chronologically, Trafalgar Law, I think it's just the red-green one. I think it's just okay. I'll probably rearrange these individual tiers at the end too, so I'm just going to put them in their tiers right now, but I think he's fine. We do get some new Supernova support, which is really interesting and very fun, so I think that's very cool. We're also going to put it probably Eustace Kid there too, just because like I've seen the Cavendish is really good, being able to get the 2 Dawn back every turn, since these are both Supernova leaders is great for the deck too, so I think that's strong for it. So I'm going to leave both of those there. Newgate probably is just still tier 1.5. He's probably on like the bottom end of it, but I think he can top every once in a while in this, so I think that's strong for there. Even though he didn't get any new tools, I think there are some tools for him there as well. And then also we have Kinemon. Kinemon I think was going to go likely won't top. I didn't have to put Kinemon or Odin since there was a good amount of Wano support in this set. I don't think it's enough for the deck. I think like the best Wano leader is now probably our red-green Odin, to be honest. And you do get some good advantage and some new tools with it, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for it. Nami, we're going to put into tier 1.5. We don't really get new tools, but it's still kind of like Whitebeard, just in the same kind of spot as it was. Emporio, we're going to put into the viable potential. I'm going to do some like specifically testing with it on today as this video comes out. So this could definitely change for this too. but I think that like the Ivankov like Inazuma, the Inazuma that we get seems really good, right? We were able to draw 4 cards at the end of our turn if we set it up correctly, and it's a 6 cost 7K, so it's a little bit difficult to remove. Your opponent's gonna have to put a little bit more into it, and it just kind of benefits blue to run some more like unique cards. And blue also just has like Gravity Blade, I think, has been seeing more and more play. That the card's been very strong for removal, and because of that, blue can be in a good spot. So we'll see. We'll see if it's worth playing, but I have like mild hopes for it. I like what Emporio does in general, and it could be very fun. So we have that. Iceberg's kind of in the same spot, and I've been doing a lot of testing with him. I'm going to be doing more of it today. If you're able to get like your tempo and board established, the deck does really nasty things. There's some really good purple cards that came out for this set that you get a lot of synergy. Not only like its own, but like the Bond Clay can help the deck too. So I think it's in this spot as well. And then lastly, I'm just going to move it over here. Purple Yellow Croc. This has been my baby for this set too. I really liked it in OP04. I haven't really touched it in a minute, but the new Okama Way is such a broken card for the deck. It might be enough to make it. I almost want to be like, oh, it's 1.5 is going to get tops, but I'm not sure if it's there quite yet. Maybe we'll try to balance it out at the end, but I think it's like the one. If I was to uptick any of these, it'd probably Purple Yellow Croc. I think it's a lot of fun. So. Anyways, for the rest of these, they're pretty much just going to be in the tier 1.5, to be honest. Yamato didn't really get anything, but it's been very strong, I think, the last couple of weeks. Anel, this might be my peak thing. I don't think Anel's really that good yet, still. I think a lot of people are going to be playing it, and I think it will top because of that, but I think OP07 is where it's actually going to be back into the meta. And right now, even though like the new tools are good, like Raigo's a very great card for the deck, just like any removal if we really need it. I don't know if it's quite there for Anel right now, so we're just going to put it there, but it's fine. It's definitely not like a bad card, but or a bad leader in any way, but you still kind of get some of this like clunkiness where if you have only non-counters or hand, or you have to run so many non-counters that you can get bricked up pretty easy. So I don't know. We'll see if it changes. Reiju is probably like at the end of tier 1.5. With our good friend Red Purple Law seeing more play, I think it's going to get hit by that pretty quickly and not see as much play because of it. So we're going to put that there. We also have Perona. Probably viable potential, to be honest. We'll see if that changes. I really like this deck. We didn't really get anything from this set specifically, but I do like the deck. I do really like the deck. It's just like there's so many times where if you don't see your pieces correctly, you just lose. Or if you don't see Dofi on specifically 10, then you just lose too. And so there's ways to mitigate that. There's ways to see it more often, but it's very fragile, which is unfortunate. And then we also have Uta. We'll probably put Uta right here. If I was to put like a second, like a tier 1.75, I would probably be cut on the Newgate. These 4 here. I think like the best 3 are probably the Enel, Black, Yellow, Luffy, and Uta, and the last 3 are like a half tier down from there too. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll go through the end of it right now. So at the top we have Sakazuki, Moria, Red Purple Law, and Katakuri. I'll probably keep them in this order too for this tier. I think that's pretty clear for them. They're just very, very strong. Red Purple Law is just the new add to it, and then everything else is probably like on a tier lower. On 1.5, we have Enel, Black, Yellow, Luffy, and Uta, and then I think there is like a little bit of divide after them. If I want to make another tier, I would. But then from there, we're probably going to go Yamato, probably Yamato, Reiju, and then Newgate and Nami. Reiju could maybe be at the bottom. I don't even know. Like Reiju might not see any play anymore. Again, the Red Purple Law matchup is just so awful, and since it's going to be, I'm going to say more like 20% of the meta now, from like 5% like it was, that it could even be like 20 to 25%, because I think it's like the premier new leader of the set. More people are going to be on it for the first couple weeks, and that Rage is going to really, really suffer from it. So maybe I'm just going to put in the back there. And then Newgate and the Nami, I think these are likely decks that will top. If these are going to take up 75% of the chart, these are the decks I would expect to be the other 25% somewhere in there. These are the ones that I really like playing. I think there's a lot of viability, and if they, I think like the issue for most of these decks is the consistency. A lot of them are just kind of based on doing their early curve, and if they don't see it, they're in a bad spot. If I was to bump one back up, it'd probably be Purple Yellow Croc. To be honest, I think that there's a lot that this deck does well. I think it's really just kind of it has like a couple of like the Enel issues where like you have all the options, but you have to see them at the right time. But you get like a little bit more consistency from it, but you get a little bit less survivability, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like the trade-off between these two. But otherwise, I think the deck is okay as is. And then the rest of these guys, I think these are all. You'll see a lot of people play these decks for next couple of weeks because they're fun. They're very good. There's some new tools. There's some new tricks they get to do, and because of that, they're very viable. Like they're a lot. Like they're viable, and they're like almost at that like next level where it can be like consistently tournament viable, but I don't think they're there quite yet. And then likely won't top. If any of these top, I'd be very surprised. We have Hannibal, Ace, and also the Kinemon. I think there's just either decks that do the same thing but better, or they're just not consistent enough to play 7 rounds and have an X1 record. So that's kind of the thought there. So anyways, we went pretty quick, but this is my tier list for EB01. Let me know what you guys think about this, what I got right, what I got wrong, what you're looking forward to, and also good luck on your polls and everything else regarding EB01 in the next couple weeks. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.